Welcome to the Criminologist Podcast. Our goal here is to educate and enlighten our listeners, focusing on the latest and greatest evidence-based interventions to help individuals desist from a life of crime and delinquency. And not only those factors which drive folks into crime, we also look at the reasons why people exit a life of crime. Also, we attempt to paint an accurate picture of that journey from the perspective of the justice-involved individual. Too often, our perceptions of those involved in the system are tainted by media-driven caricatures created to sell newspapers or movie tickets. This adds little to a healthy dialogue as to how to best address criminality. This podcast will avoid stereotypes and biases. We will endeavor to accomplish the first two goals in a way that keep you, the listener, interested and even entertained. And now, the host of The Criminologist, Joseph Arvidsson.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, and welcome to episode 41 of the Criminologist Podcast. Happy to have you all with us today. We have been on a hot streak as far as the ability to bring you all some subject matter experts from around the world, returning to our roots, getting back to the supervision of our fictitious caseload of clients today. We are going to be joined once again by client Elvira Hancock. Recall that Ms. Hancock has been on abscond status for quite a while now. And as you are about to hear, law enforcement has picked her up on my probation violation warrant. Astute listeners of the show may also recall that Elvira's name came up in my last conversation with our client, Clarence Brown. Some rumors on the street as to her recent activities. So let's have a listen then to my conversation with Elvira, and I will see you all on the other side.
You have a collect call from Elvira Hancock, an inmate at the Tarragone County Correctional Facility. To accept this call, press 1. To decline, press 2.
Hey, Elvira, what's going on?
You tell me. They say you issued a warrant for my arrest?
Well, let me ask, what do you recall from our sessions when I went over my dual role?
Your what?
The fact that I wear different hats, Elvira. Remember when I talked about having different roles?
Oh, yeah. You're a cop and a social worker. But looks like the cop in you issued a warrant on my ass.
Well, again, what do you recall from our sessions as to those things that are negotiable versus non-negotiable?
Yeah, I remember that. But I didn't catch a new case or nothing.
Well, other than me saying failing to remain law-abiding is one of those non-negotiable things, what else did I say was non-negotiable?
Yeah, you talked about something about falling off your radar. Well, yeah, that, then. So that's why you violated me, because I fell off the radar?
Well, how much of a role do you feel you played in this situation, Elvira?
Yeah, I see your point, I guess. Okay, so what now? You found me. Can I get out of here?
Well, we need to have a hearing before your sentencing judge first. Also, I need to get a new address on the record from you. Where have you been?
I've been in town this whole time. I just haven't been staying at my house. But that's my permanent address. So just put that down for me.
Can I ask you a question? Why did you stop reporting to me?
Man, I just had a lot of drama going on out there. I've just kind of had to keep my head down and take care of some business. I mean, you know how it goes. I meant to call you. One day turns into 2 days, turns into a week, and then I feel like I'm so far behind.
And so does taking care of business involve the drug trade?
Who's been telling tales out of school? Man, snitches get stitches.
Hey, I didn't say anyone told. I was just asking you a question as to what you've been up to all these months. Plus, when we have spoken in the past, you have told me about your struggles walking away from the life. So are we still having struggles walking away?
Remember when you were just asking me now what I remember about our talks and around role clarification? Well, one other thing I remember is you telling me about confidentiality. Without getting into specifics, since I know you'd have to tell the police if I was doing dirt. But yeah, to answer your question, I've been struggling walking away from life.
It's been difficult for you to become a model citizen.
Yeah, I mean, the easy cash, the partying, the status of it all. There's a natural rush to all that, beyond the material things. I think that's what's most difficult for me to walk away from. The money's easy, come and go, but kind of the fringe benefits, the things that go along with it, so to speak, are too tough to let go. It's like being a movie star with muscles, It's all that and more.
Tell me about a time when you were happy without those fringe benefits.
Well, I guess when I was like a teenager. Actually, no. It would have to be before that. When I was like 12 or so. When we used to stay out late at night and play ding dong ditch and ride bikes through the neighborhood.
That was a happy time in your life for you.
Carefree, that's for sure. Just me and my friends playing outside, living our best life, I guess. Definitely nobody looking over my shoulder. Didn't feel like I was in trouble.
So on the one hand, it's difficult for you to walk away from all the fringe benefits that the current lifestyle affords you. But on the other hand, there was a time in your life when you were healthy and happy, had friends, good times, and none of the concerns of the last few months.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, maybe someday I can get back to that. I mean, I guess I don't want to live the life of running the streets forever.
So say more about that.
I mean, one day I'd like to settle down. I'd like to not have to worry about where my next money is coming from, what my day is going to look like every day. I want the dream, the American dream, the family, the house, the white picket fence, that kind of stuff.
Well, there's no reason we can't start working on those things right now, Elvira. The good news is the person who is 100% in control of that is you. You have total control over your future.
Yeah, right. Tell that to the police officers that arrested me and threw my ass in this jail. Go ahead, tell them that. Hey, officers, 1 second, please don't arrest that woman because she is 100% in control of her future. And that does not include getting locked up for being at this party. Go ahead and run that up the flagpole.
Well, allow me to unpack that a bit. May I? Have you and I ever talked about what we refer to as the thought-behavior link?
I don't know, maybe. We do a lot of stuff in your office. New age stuff.
New age? Well, like I bust out crystals and have a seance under a pyramid in my office when you come to see me or something?
No, but what do you call it again? Those tools, those evidence or something.
Evidence-based practices. Yes, I do a lot of what we refer to as evidence-based practices with you, Elvira. And in doing so in the past, have I ever mentioned the thought-behavior link?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Can't remember.
Well, essentially, it is a concept we teach folks to help them understand that we may all experience the same outside stuff, but we all have uniquely different thoughts as to the same outside stuff. So, for example, we have all been cut off in traffic before, and we all have an array of responses to being cut off in traffic.
Like what?
Well, for example, what are different things that you or even your friends have done when cut off in traffic?
Shit, my friends? Maybe flip them off, scream out the window, going down the freeway. If they're lucky, I'll just cuss them out from inside the car. Hell, some of my friends may even follow them to the next exit and do, well, who knows what.
Okay. And what do you think some of the reactions might be to that exact same driver flipping us off?
No offense, but a good citizen like you would probably just let him cut you off and not do a damn thing about it.
Okay, fair enough. And why do you think that is? That is, why would all those reactions vary from me just sucking it up to your friends who may try to drive him off the road?
I don't know. You're just different people.
Well, yes, we are different people, but more to the point, we all those people having a variety of responses to the exact same outside things, we all have different thoughts about what just happened.
Yeah. So what? Just mean some of my friends have different thoughts?
Yeah, and by that, you mean they think differently about the situations that they think differently than I might, in other words, correct?
Yeah. I mean, they're probably thinking nobody's going to punk me like that. And I bet you're thinking, I got to get to the store and buy some more skim milk.
Precisely. And because we have those different thoughts, we behave differently.
Okay, I suppose. Sure, my friends most definitely would have different thoughts about being cut off than most people.
Right. And that, and only that, explains their behavior. Let me ask you, what were some of the thoughts you had leading up to your failing to report to my office? Actually, don't answer that now. You undoubtedly have some spare time on your hands these days, so take out some paper and jot them down when you have a moment. And when you do, I think you'll see how all of those thoughts directly correlated to you not reporting for that first missed office visit. And if you were to do that again, tally all your thoughts leading up to that second missed office visit, you'd see the same thing.
You know what? I will say now, I do miss these conversations with you. They always get me pondering about something.
Well, it's all those new age practices I've been researching here.
So can I get out of here now then? Now that I know all about this thought behavior link?
Well, not so fast, Calamity Jane. We have a probation violation hearing scheduled with your sentencing judge. Yes, I want to continue to work with you, and yes, I want you to succeed on supervision. But as I explained, I have a dual role, both that of change agent and also as an officer of the court. So I can't just ignore the fact that your whereabouts have been unknown for the better part of this last year.
Okay, fair enough. When will they bring me over?
You will have a hearing within the week.
All right, sounds good. I guess I'm just going to kick back and enjoy some of this fine cuisine that they serve in here.
And don't forget about your homework. Jot down all those thoughts you had leading up to your behavior.
Aye, Professor. Will do.
All right. Take care, Elvira.
See ya.
A quick break from the show to give a shout out to our friends at APHIS, the American Institute for the Advancement of Forensic Studies. APHIS is a professional organization dedicated to uniting the forensic communities of criminal justice, education, law, medicine, and psychology. APHIS is a leader in building relationships within the forensic community, locally and nationally. The mission of the American Institute for the Advancement of Forensic Studies is to provide quality education, training, consultation, and research in the forensic studies to professionals and students. APHIS is a leader in connecting members with one another to help facilitate professional growth, increased competency, and awareness in forensic mental health studies. For details as to upcoming training events, webinars, or publications, please visit them at www.aiafs.com. And now, back to the show.
So Elvira is back in the fold, so to speak. Let's unpack that a bit, shall we? Hopefully what you heard was my previous attempts at role clarification paying off, paying dividends. That is, plenty of times these phone calls that we get from clients in custody, clients who have absconded from supervision and or committed another violation of their probation, can really put a strain on that all-important working alliance. I feel too often when clients struggle or have a setback, the practitioner fails to see this as an opportunity, that this can be a great time to revisit some of Chris Trotter's role clarification components. To recap, those are things such as the agency's mission, the officer's dual role, limits of confidentiality, what's negotiable and what's non-negotiable, those types of things. I begin, as you heard, by me asking Elvira what she recalled from our previous sessions as to my dual role. You also heard me de-escalate this conversation a bit by eliciting from Elvira, again, what she recalled as to our previous conversations around what is negotiable and what is non-negotiable. And again, in utilizing those two techniques from Dr. Chris Trotter, you really saw the de-escalation, the tone, the temperature went down. And again, because Elvira was recalling these things on her own, it was, in a sense, an acknowledgement of her role in the violation process. So she's somewhat, as you heard there, took ownership of her behaviors rather. And then, if you heard it, Elvira even asked me about the limits of confidentiality before she broached a topic with me. But when we reviewed that really led to her opening up to me a bit more. You then heard a dash of motivational interviewing in this call as well. Elvira acknowledged that she's been struggling walking away from the life. And there was a little bit of ambivalence that I caught there and, of course, pounced on it. If you heard, I asked her, hey, tell me about a time when you were happy without those fringe benefits. You know, she talked about the fringe benefits of her risky lifestyle. For you motivational interviewer trainers out there, that's an old tactic we use of looking forward, looking back. We use this, again, in motivational interviewing to evoke from the client their memories around a time in their life when they were either not engaged in the targeted behavior, or conversely, we ask them to imagine a time in the future when they can envision what it would be like to not be engaged in that targeted change behavior. So whether it's around addiction or negative peer associates, or in this case, maybe a little bit of all of the above with Elvira, but, you know, just sort of that lifestyle that she is sort of conflicted around. Again, I got Elvira to talk about those happier and simpler times in her life when she did not have to deal with all of her current street drama. The client's reasons for change are infinitely stronger than reasons that a probation officer or a judge or anyone else might have. I always used to tell my clients, hey, listen, you are the expert of you. I say that all the time. This is particularly true with justice-involved individuals. Probation officers need to resist the urge to fall into the expert trap. Here, let me fix you. Again, clients are the experts of themselves. They know those pathways towards desistance more than anybody else on the planet does. You then heard me dabble a little bit in some cognitive behavioral interventions, specifically getting her to understand what we refer to as the thought-behavior link. If you utilize cognitive behavioral interventions with your clients, you should know that at the cornerstone of all cognitive techniques is getting the client to understand the thought-behavior link. That is the single most important thing we can do if we're trying to embrace cognitive behavioral interventions. If you listened to my interview with Dr. Guy Burgon, we talked about this in depth, and he also talked about his Spot the Dog exercise and the genesis of that great tool. I also illustrated Spot the Dog in another episode with a client, so go back and check those out if you're interested about learning more about Spot the Dog, which again is a great technique to get clients to understand the all-important thought-behavior link. Nonetheless, you heard me go over this today with Elvira. With her, I used the illustration of getting cut off in traffic, which I think most of us can relate to. But the moral of that story for Elvira was that we all experience outside stuff, as I refer to it, or external cues, as Dr. Burgon might call them. We all react differently, though, to those outside cues or to that outside stuff, such as getting cut off in traffic. And why is that? Because we all have different thoughts and feelings as to that outside stuff. And the good news is we, and only we, control our thoughts. So by changing our thoughts, we change our behaviors. Bam. As simple as that. One other thing that I hope this episode showed was that evidence-based practices, the ones I highlighted on this show or the interventions that you train or have been trained on, do not need to be facilitated strictly in an office setting. You just heard an illustration of a probation officer taking a call from a client who has been on the run for several months on abscond status, and rather than it driving a wedge into the all-important working alliance, I used it as an opportunity to actually do a little bit of motivational interviewing and even some cognitive restructuring, all from a jail cell. Heck, I was even assigning her cognitive homework from, again, custody for her to complete in her jail cell, and she agreed to do it. So, as we contemplate how to change the way we do business with all the changes going on in the world due to COVID, virtual contacts, virtual field visits, that type of thing, you should all take to heart what you just heard today. Not seeing a client in one's office is not an excuse not to engage in evidence-based practices. Okay, back next week with a fresh episode. In the meantime, you may contact the show or reach out to us through our website, the Paragon Group, LLC.com, for training or presentations as to evidence-based practices and or implementation, or of course, the topic of desistance from crime. I will leave a link in this episode to the Paragon Group, LLC.com, if you want to learn more about motivational interviewing, cognitive interventions, desistance. Reach out, let us know, we can help. If you have questions about the podcast, you can feel free to contact us through the show's email, thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. That's thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to follow us through our Facebook and or Instagram page at The Criminologist Podcast. New fun images are being added all the time to those feeds. You don't want to miss out on that. You can also connect with me, Joseph Arvidsson, on LinkedIn and follow both The Criminologist Podcast and the Paragon Group on our LinkedIn pages. Lastly, if you have not already done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional content as to what you've heard on this podcast. Merchandise is available. If you're interested, please reach out. And if you believe in what we're doing on the show, please spread the word. Tell a friend or a coworker or a colleague about us. Ask them to subscribe to the show. And of course, do so yourself if you have not already done so. And always remember, folks, there's no them, there's only us. Tired of those pesky risk factors? Fed up with those nagging periods of reoffending? Just can't seem to keep on the straight and narrow? Then try Criminogard. Criminogard is our patented repellent against criminogenic need. Criminogard is effective against the risk factors of delinquent past, dysfunctional family relationships, substance misuse, lack of pro-social leisure activities, deficits around education and employment, negative peers, pro-criminal attitude, and a history of antisocial personality pattern. Simply apply Criminogard at the onset of delinquent behavior or when actuarial risk assessment warrants application. Criminogard works by attacking criminogenic need at the source while buffering against future risk. Inspired by general personality and cognitive social learning theory, Criminogard identifies criminogenic need at its source. Then our top secret byproducts mimic pro-social modeling to elicit the onset of pro-social behavior. Once the cost for antisocial behavior outweighs the rewards, users begin seeing reductions in criminal deeds. Criminogard is available in regular, mint, or jasmine scent. Find Criminogard at all quality vendors, shops, and strip malls. Criminogard is not a substitute for proven evidence-based practices. Criminogard may cause mild discomfort or skin rash. In case of continued maladaptive behavior, users should subject themselves to proven core correctional practices. Criminogard has failed to result in significant effect sizes in recidivism reduction. Buyer beware, not sold in Canada.
The Criminologist Podcast is a production of the Paragon Group, LLC. For speaking engagements, interviews, program design, training opportunities, or to contact the host, please visit us at theparagongroup.llc.com. Click on the Contact Us tab in the upper right-hand side of the page. Be sure to give us a 5-star review, and thanks for listening.
The thoughts, statements, and opinions of the host and cast members do not necessarily reflect the views of their employers and are those of the host and cast themselves. Any discussion regarding client statements, behaviors, actions, or crimes are purely fictional and are used only for the purposes of example. Any examples that could be deemed to be related to an actual individual or individuals are incidental.